Hello, Hampshire Chemistry. I haven't made one of these videos in quite some time. Today we are going to learn about calculating empirical formulas. An empirical formula is simply the lowest whole number ratio between elements. The reason we care about this is because it allows us to figure out a bunch of different things. Today we're going to talk a little bit about minerals. You know, you find some unknown mineral, what is it actually made of? What is the chemical formula? It is also used in like crime scene investigation stuff. So you find some mysterious white powder, you want to know what it's made of. You know, is it just aspirin or is it something else? So calculating empirical formulas allows us to do that to solve things. Tomorrow we're going to actually solve a murder mystery in class. It'll be pretty cool. So as we go through this first problem, empirical formulas have 4 steps that you need to take in order to be successful in calculating or figuring out what the empirical formula is. So I'm going to write these 4 different steps. I'm going to write them in specific colors, and then I'll show you what it looks like over here to the right, also in specific colors. Remember, everything should be done on purpose as you guys take notes on things. So, Mr. Gearman's here, he's bothering me. All right, step number 1. We are going to change the percents given to us in the problem into grams. All right, again, pay attention to colors. Make sure that you can easily find your different steps. Step number 2, we are going to convert. You want to say anything, Mr. Gearman? Convert your grams into moles. You have to be on camera if you're in here. Yeah. Step number 3, we are going to divide, and remember, you can't have fun in school. We are going to divide by the smallest number. Man, he made me screw up. By the smallest number. And our final step, step number 4, in boring ink here, step number 4, we are going to round. So here's the deal. When you do step number 3, you're either going to get a number very close to a whole number, like 0.996 or 1.02, or you're going to get a number very close to a common fraction, like 0.25 is a quarter or 0.33 is a third. I'm going to show you what we do with that over here, but just be aware that it can happen. So we are either going to round to a whole number, or, this is very important, or we are going to multiply by a denominator, which is going to allow us to get a whole number by a denominator. These problems take time. All right, please don't try to rush through them. Take time and set it up. So let's look at number 1. Here we go. So we have a percent. This cool rock, this is what it looks like, is going to be 53.73%. We are simply, instead of writing percent, going to change it to grams, and that is grams of iron. If you continue reading, the other part of this mineral, the 46.27%, again, instead of writing percent, we're just going to change it to grams, is sulfur. All right, cool. Step 1, it's done. Step number 2 is to convert from grams into moles. So our units need to match up as we convert. do you remember what the grams, where the grams number comes from? Do you? All right, and so a mole of iron is equal to 55.85 grams of iron. A mole of sulfur is equal to 32.07 grams of sulfur. Remember, those numbers are important. They've probably sat down there for most of your life. You never, knew what those were for in the P table. Well, now you do. 32.07. So if you need to add additional notes to this, please do so. Like, where'd those numbers come from, etc. All right, so a couple, grams cancels out with grams. Cool. You're going to be multiplying across the top and then dividing by your 5585. When you do that, you get 0.96204. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing with 46.27, multiply across the top, which is 1, essentially just dividing by 32.07. All right, you get 1.442. So go ahead and jot down your answers. On a problem like this, we don't really want to over round, so I'm going to keep it out to the thousandth place, and that is moles of iron. Down here, 1.443 moles of sulfur. Moles of iron, moles of sulfur. All right, cool. Step 2 is done. Step 3, divide by the smallest number. This is pretty easy. What number is smaller? Yeah, pretty easy, right? So we're going to divide by that 0.962 number, divide by 0.962 number. Up here, we get 1. Down here, what is that? You get, I can't believe I just made a mistake. 1.443 divided by 0.962. You get 1.5. So this is what I'm talking about in step 4. This is a nice whole number. I don't need to round or anything, but this is not. So this is 1.5. 1.5 is a half is a common fraction, right? So to get rid of a common fraction, we need to multiply by a number. In this case, what do you multiply a half by to get to a whole number? So you always look at what the denominator would be. So 1.5, the denominator is 2. So we're going to multiply both of these numbers by 2. And so we have 2 irons for every 1.5 times 2 is 3 sulfurs. All right. So we have 2 irons for every 3 sulfurs. And so those numbers that we are finding are your subscripts. Now that last step I'm doing where I'm multiplying, you don't always have to do that. Let's talk a little bit more about that. All right, let me give you a little clue down here, a little blurb. 0.25 is equivalent to a quarter, right? So if you ended up with a 0.25 after step 3, you would multiply by 4, the denominator. 0.33 is equivalent to a third. So you're not going to round that all the way up to a whole number. You're going to multiply by the denominator, which is 3. If you do it to one number, you have to do it to all the numbers. The one we just did, is 0.50. That is equivalent to a half. So we multiply by that. The last type we would see would be like a 0.667 or something, which is 2/3. And we would also just multiply by the denominator, 3, right? So as you go through this, some of these you will have to take that extra step. Some of them you won't. All right, the answers are on the bottom. Take your time. And as always, even though this is a blended day, feel free to come in and ask extra questions if you guys have questions. All right, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.